The clinic is open, my friend. The clinic is open. Their relationship clinic. Kama kawaida bench nimeweka nje na nimepanguza. And we have an interesting conversation to get into today as we talk about marriage across races. Remember, this month we are looking at unorthodox marriages, marriages that are not common. And today we have got a wonderful couple in studio with us. This is Liz and Solomon Ocampo. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me?
We're doing well. Thank you for having us.
Great.
We're doing great. Thank you.
Karibuni sana. You know, when we hear the word Ocampo in Kenya, many things come to mind. Liz, I'm wondering, did Solomon give you an envelope? Because when we hear Ocampo, we think of the Ocampo envelope.
Yeah, so many people think we are faking our name, but it's true. We're actually exactly like the Moreno Ocampo.
Wow. Good to have you on the show today, Karibuni sana. We also have counseling psychologist Charity Kihika. Charity, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Thank
you for having me again.
Good to have you again, Karibu sana. I'm very curious, Liz and Solomon. Solomon, where are you from? What's your nationality?
I'm a Filipino from the Philippines. We're just neighbors with China.
Ah, Filipino. Okay, great. So how did you guys meet?
Well, actually, my parents had been a missionary here since the 1980s, so we were close family friends, although individually, me and Liz did not know each other.
Oh, okay. So how did you know each other?
His parents asked my parents for my hand in marriage. We are an arranged marriage.
Wow, that's even more interesting.
Yeah.
Did you guys struggle with the fact that your parents arranged this marriage, or were you in favor of it?
Well, initially she said no, and everybody she knew were against it. Yes, we struggled with it at first. It was a long journey, but then we ended up getting married, and we're here 7 years after.
Wow.
For him, it wasn't a long journey because he knew from the time he was a young child that his parents will choose his wife. And so his family, they choose the spouses for their children. And so he was number 6, and so now they chose me, and I thought that was a pretty big joke. And so 2 years later is when I realized, okay, let me just do this, let me just dive in. And so I walked down to a total stranger. I walked down the aisle to a total stranger.
As in you had, what do you mean a total stranger? You had not sat down, you didn't do the dating thing, having coffee and all that. You guys didn't do all that?
No.
Wow. Very interesting. I don't know what you think about this story, Charity. Because in today's generation, a lot of our young people would not even consider walking down the aisle to a stranger. No way.
Correct. It's amazing. I think it's one of the most beautiful stories I have heard. When I knew I was going to come and share with the Ocampos, I prayed about it. And I'm already feeling very excited, simply because yours is a unique marriage. I was thinking about so many things, and here I am now this morning. I think maybe Pastor Okumu, we can close the show and say praise the Lord. It's amazing. I think it's very unique, extremely unique, particularly because of the cultural differences.
Yeah.
Kenyans have borrowed a lot from the West. Therefore, for Maureen?
Liz.
For Liz to have to accept you as a husband, it's extremely rare. It doesn't happen in our culture, and particularly today, it was there. So I want to really say that it's a very unique type of relationship because of the times we are living in.
Yeah.
And the one that is bound to do very well. Okay. I don't know for how long you've been married.
7 years.
But my instinct tells me it's bound to work very, very well. Yeah.
You know, Liz, I'm curious to hear from you because, okay, with Solomon, like you've said, he knew this is their culture. Your parents, choose your spouse for you. But for us here, my friend, my parents choosing my spouse for me, no. I have to choose the spouse for myself. And so I'm just wondering what you went through you know, when this was organized, and what your friends or even your siblings had to say about this? Did you come across any resistance?
Well, my sibling, I did not tell my friends because I knew for a fact it would be a laughing matter. So I did not tell any of my friends. And for my siblings, they really had no problem because they knew they were Campo family. They were missionaries here in our church. My father is a pastor. And so there were missionaries in our church. But as much as there were missionaries, I didn't see Solomon. There were 12 of them.
Wow.
And so I would just see a bunch of Filipinos coming to church, but never getting really to know them individually. And so my family, my siblings, they liked his family, so they really had no problem. They were all looking to see whether I would say yes, of which, like I said, it took a lot of time to process. And my mother is the one who really pushed me to it.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I know this is what God wants for you, and I believe it is God's will for you. And so she really stood on that. And so, yeah, after much praying and seeking the Lord, I realized this is the way for my life. And that's why I just jumped into it.
How was the wedding?
The wedding was wonderful. It was in the Philippines. They flew my entire family, like a family of 10, and my bridesmaids, 6 bridesmaids, they flew all of us to the Philippines. And then we had an African wedding in the Philippines.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yeah. You know, I'm just wondering, because usually when we have a marriage across races, and you know, like for the lady getting married to somebody who's coming from another continent, whether it's in Asia or it's in the Western world, one of the things a lot of people would think is you're doing this because of money. I'm just wondering if you ever got such kind of feedback or such kind of stories from your circles.
Yes, I get that a lot, but
you still get that.
I still get that till today. And but I thank God our families are equal level. So I'm not from I'm from an okay background. So yeah,
we would get the first years. I remember we would walk down the streets. This was 7 years ago, so the mindset was not as open and acceptable today.
Yeah.
So we would get calls from the street, just random people complaining, "Hey, why are you with that Chinese? Why are you?" You know, just
wow.
It might have been an arranged marriage, but it's still a marriage. So with all the challenges of cultural differences and the troubles that we went through and are still going through.
Wow. I'm just wondering, Charity, you know, because these are challenges they'll probably have to face for quite a long time because of the perception.
Please, Pastor.
Say that again. Can you hear me?
A little louder. I can't hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I'll try.
Yeah, I'm saying, looking at what the Ocampos are sharing, it seems like this is a challenge they will have to face for quite a number of probably years because of the perception people have regarding cross-cultural marriages. And I'm just wondering, for a couple like this, what do they need to ensure they do so that what other people are saying about them does not affect their relationship?
Good question. First and foremost, it's good because they already have accepted each other. Going forward is dealing with the external forces, culturally and otherwise, like we have said. So for me, one of the most important things for you to realize and to acknowledge and actually live with is that you will always make eyes roll wherever you will be. So that awareness is going to help you to stay together because people will always see you differently.
Yeah.
Now it's incumbent upon you to see yourselves as one, because for your marriage is unique. Again, it's made by God himself. He brought you together. It's not because of the resources. And therefore, once you're aware of that, people will always see you as different people, then that is the first step. The other thing that you will need to be to work on very, very hard is to know how to defend one another. And already I can hear you have already learned that, particularly when people in the street would call Liz Why are you with that Chinese? You see, here in Africa, anyone who is not like us and looks a little different, like a Chinese, you are Chinese. Whether you are from Philippines, Korea, or wherever, you are the same. Just like us in the West. When you're an African, you are an African. There is no Kenya, there is no Nigeria. So the thing is, you are each other's defender. That is the second point I would like to say. You defend each other. What do I mean by that? Is that because people will always see you differently, accept that, and be happy about that. Let them know that it is true. We are coming from different background and cultural differences and all that, even color and everything. However, we are the same. Beneath the skin, we are the same. Actually, the blood is the same. The heart, everything that you have is, you're really the same, you know, despite of the color. So the second point I said is to defend each other. So that make it very intentional. And somebody speaks to or maybe makes a move towards Solomon, Liz, it's you who is there from your people, from us now. And if it's in Philippines, you visit your family there, or you go for holiday, you find people also looking at you in a curious manner. Solomon, you are actually the defender, and it will work. And with time, for you it will be okay, but people also will learn, because we learn, we can see, we can observe.
Very true.
I think these are the major things I would like to talk about. These two things. First is the awareness that and acceptance you'll always be the same. Two is that you are each other's defenders. You fight you fight for one another against external forces. Because I'm happy that you're aware they will be there. Yes, they will be there, as long as the Lord keeps you together, and He will. You will always have those. But once you do what you need to do, it's gonna be fine.
Solomon, I'm just wondering, from your family, are you the first person to get married to an African woman? And if yes, how did people back at home embrace the news that you're getting married to an African woman?
Yes, I am the first, actually, and so far I'm still the only one. My other siblings are married to white American women. So it was shocking at first, and when Liz came with the whole family there, even in the entire country, and this was back 9 years ago. So the Philippines was not used to Africans, actually. So when they were walking around in malls in the cities, everybody would stop, just stare at them, taking photographs and asking for their signature autograph. They were asking if they were Hollywood celebrities, because they only see black people on movies, on NBAs. They're saying, like, are you a basketball player? They kept asking Liz, are you Tyra Banks?
Oh my goodness. Do you guys ever have to deal with racism?
Oh yes, yes, but thankfully for us at that time, it was a positive racism, because they were shocked and awed by the beauty and the height, because Filipinos generally were shorter. So they were like, nice, wow, are you a basketball player? So racism in terms of Filipinos were not yet used to black people. We're very much used to the white man, because they came and colonized us. But we're not very used to Africans that way. But good thing for our story, they haven't experienced negative racism, just positive and can I have your signature. But definitely not yet used to the black man and the African side, because Philippines is so far.
Okay, so shortly we'll talk about culture, because you come from two different cultures, and I'm just wondering how you're able to balance, like, which food do you eat? Do you eat Kenyan food, or do you prefer Filipino food? How you do your things. We'll talk about that shortly. If you have any questions for the Ocampos today, or for Charity Kihika, you can send in your questions via text message on 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. We are talking about marriage across races. We are hanging out with counseling psychologist Charity Kihika and Liz and Solomon Ocampo, who are sharing their story with us. I've got another Solomon here texting in. He says, that's exactly exactly what I would have loved. My parents choosing a wife for me. Parents always want the best for their children. I wish we can go back to those old golden days. Congratulations to Solomon and Liz. And then I have another message here that's saying the way we want our story to look like for so and so. I'm listening to the Ocampo story. Imagine walking down the aisle to a stranger. That's scary. There is beauty in every person's story. If they all looked the same, life would be so boring. I so agree with that. Every person's story is so beautiful. And this one is from Martha Ann. You say, wow, I'm enjoying learning about interracial marriages. Do you know that arranged marriages have the highest chances of longevity than any other type of marriage? That is what Martha Ann is saying. And wow. So back to you, Liz and Solomon. When it comes to culture, how do you guys deal with that? How do you find balance? Because these cultures are totally different.
Well, for starters, compromise just had to come in, because when you stick to your culture, you realize that you're going to clash a lot. And so the very first thing that hit me when I went to the Philippines was the food. It's very different, very seafood, and just a lot of things that are not in Nairobi, and things you don't even understand. Even the fruits are very different. You'll be looking for an orange or a mango, and you wouldn't find those things. You're finding ramotang and things you don't even know how to pronounce. And so the food was the very first thing. And I remember my in-laws were finding me very picky, but I was telling them, bring any Kenyan here. There's nothing there.
Yes.
Even my bridesmaids, when they came, they just stayed hungry for like a whole week. They were just eating fried chicken for the whole week. That's the only thing they were understanding. And so imagine me having to live there because I moved there. And so that was the very first, is food, because, food is a basic need.
Yeah.
And that I just had to completely change my tongue, my palate, and try to eat no matter what. And right now I can eat every Filipino food. I have nothing that I can't eat except the balot, which is a
what is that?
a rotten egg.
Oh.
So, no, that's not it.
I guess for you, Solomon, it probably was a bit easier because your family were missionaries here, so I guess you had interacted with a bit of the Kenyan culture and the Kenyan food.
Exactly, yes. Even though it was difficult for me, as you said, I was trained to face the difficulty and not be picky. So I was trained to adapt and, start eating ugali and eat the local food and not start looking for my own Filipino food. Although it's always wonderful and satisfying to eat your own food, but we were trained that way as missionaries, so it was much easier for me.
Although as a new wife, I was so embarrassed that I didn't know how to cook their food, and so I was looking like a wife who didn't know how to cook.
Ooh. Is there any Kenyan food, Solomon, that you can't eat? Or you don't like?
Mutumbo or matumbo?
Matumbo.
Okay.
You don't know what you're missing, my friend. You don't know what you're missing. Oh my goodness, Charity, just weighing in on what your campus are sharing. Some of these things may sound funny, but they can actually become big issues in marriage if you don't know how to deal with them, right?
Correct. In fact, I'm getting entertained, and I'm saying food is a huge thing.
Yes.
Because without food, of course, you cannot live. So in a mixed marriage like yours, it's a whole sort of like a life-changing thing.
Yes.
Where you have to turn your mind into accepting and knowing that you will deal with this matter again. There are some things in life that we will deal with them until the Christ returns.
Yeah.
And one of them is the cultures that we have. When we talk of food, the food that we eat, the food that we've grown up with, it's every day you are learning. When you think you have overcome the issue of people stopping at the streets where you live, because those ones will get used to you and they will stop seeing you as two different people. But now you come to food. Food, there is the issue of not only the type of food, the style of cooking, the way it tastes.
Yes.
And like matumbo, I'm a Kenyan and I can't put that in my mouth. I have never dared.
Even you?
Yes, I can't.
Charity, you're letting me down. What do you mean?
Trust me, I am like Liz. I am very picky. And I'm a Kenyan, and my husband is a local.
Yes.
Local completely, but he eats everything. He says it's only an iron, even a metal he can eat if it was edible. When I'm very so, I think every day you will keep on learning, as long as there's some things that you cannot even know about another person, and much more so in your situation because of the huge difference there is in the upbringing.
Yeah.
And like Ocampo said about missionaries are very flexible people. Even the ability to go to settle in a different country, it's in itself a very unique thing again. So it's upon Liz to become a missionary. You know, when you got married, I believe you are told you forsake all the others and you're joined together.
Yeah.
And so you must, I'm saying you must, and I shouldn't say you must, but in actual fact, you need to become a missionary.
Yes.
If you have never thought about it, a missionary in your own home, where you are going to have to accept the food or find a way of saying, this one we can maybe make it this way.
Yeah.
You keep on learning. You learn new things. Maybe that's what I would like to be. And not only food, by the way. Food is a major thing.
In fact, I was
also.
Yeah. In fact, I was going to ask. I was going to ask them. Apart from the food, what are some other cultural practices that have been a challenge on both sides?
Well, also how we speak. That's also Filipinos are very respectful. Like if somebody is older than me by even just 3 months, I cannot address them just normal. I cannot. I have to put po after everything, like hello po, are you okay po, and call them ate, kuya. I can't call them by their name. And so they're finding me very disrespectful, you know.
Oh.
I'm not there looking, are you older than me? Are you younger than me? Like, you know, Kenyans, we just talk.
Yeah.
And so, that is a very different thing. Filipinos are very extremely respectful people. That's part of their culture, which we don't have here as Kenyans.
Yeah. What about for you, Solomon? Is there anything about the Kenyan culture that was a shock for you?
The first shocking thing was that people were very friendly, and you can just speak to anyone on the street. Even criminals and thieves will greet you first before they rob you. So in the Philippines, you can't do that. You can't just approach somebody and start asking, how are you? How's your family? How's your mom? They look at you like you're crazy. But here it's very open. You can communicate easily. So that was a very shocking, a good way, a good shocking way. And also Filipinos, like she said, when we speak, we don't speak directly because we're very conscious of not offending, so of respecting. So we beat around the bushes and all that. And I find Kenyans, I think generally they're more direct than us. Of course, more respectful than Americans or Westerners, but still they get direct to the point. But Filipinos, we beat around the bushes, trying not to offend the conversation. So just in the manner of speeches.
So I was always offending the conversation.
Yeah, she was very offensive because, you know, she was not speaking the Filipino way. So
how did you guys deal with that? Because that also can be an issue that can bring about confrontation in the marriage. How did you deal with it?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of struggles in the first year. I think we both agreed that it was the hardest because that's the period of where we were blending the cultures. No, my way is the right way. No, her way is the right way.
Yes.
So everybody is just behaving like the way they were raised, and the values and the norms and the cultures and mannerisms that they had. But then later on, after a year of fighting and bickering, we realized that, you know, there's wisdom in each other's culture. There's compromise. You take what is good from that other culture. There are also, you have to realize some things in your own culture that are negative, that you can drop it. So then you have a richer combined culture when you become open-minded.
Wow. You know, I'm just listening to
In fact,
this.
I was going to weigh in and say,
Yes, Charity, keep going.
thank you, Solomon. Yours is a new culture now that you have brought together. This is neither Kenyan culture, neither Filipino culture. That understanding is the one that ought to and will enhance your relationship, and your relationship will grow, ought to grow deeper, because every day for you is a new experience.
Yeah.
Even though you've been married for 7 years
yeah.
now, every day for you is a new experience. I was going to talk about Solomon, your namesake, the wisest man, who said some of the things that baffle him is the way of man and a woman.
Yes.
Look at the two of you. Fortunately, by the grace of God, you have a faith in God. So, because you'd have also have to suffer in terms of religion or your beliefs and the norms also, which would have made the marriage quite an uphill task. And particularly because you did not actually spend time to know each other the way we know it. You did not date. You never saw some of the habits that you saw. You didn't know that Kenyans were very rude, forthright.
And they eat matumbo.
Their mind.
Yes. In fact,
had you dated Liz, you would have known that we look at you directly into your eyes and we tell you what we need to say. So for this, every day for you is a learning experience. So it's an open mind, as Solomon would say. What brought you together will sustain you. You are brought together by faith in God and a culture of believing family that knew for a fact that this marriage will work because of the foundation. I also would like to mention the foundation.
Yeah.
Foundation in every marriage is very, very important.
Yeah.
And for all of us, actually. And your foundation is very rich.
Yes.
And this is what I would encourage you to take advantage of, exploit it. And you will come back here 30 years and let us know how it has been. I don't know. I have an unction that it's going to be beautiful. It's a new world that you're having. Maybe I'll say very quickly, I have friends. I lived in Canada myself and a little bit in UK. And right now I have many, many, many friends who are married in different races, Americans, Indians, Japanese also, Kenyans married, across the globe. And I talked to one of the young ladies who I mentored, and I asked her, can you please tell me if there's something you'd like me to share tomorrow morning? And she said, the beautiful race that we are bringing up that does not know color, because your children, God granting you children, I don't know whether you have or you don't have, or whether, even if you don't have your own, if you brought up a child from whatever color, culture, there will be a new race. And a beautiful race, this friend of mine, young lady, told me, she has a 12-foot son. And she says, a beautiful race that knows no boundaries.
In fact, it's interesting you've gone in that direction, because I was going to ask your campus if you have any children. Do you guys have any children?
Oh, we are on our fourth child now.
Oh my goodness. That is, yeah, but by the way, because he comes from a huge family, I'm sure you guys have got plans. And I was going to get into the children aspect, because sometimes in a situation like this, the children, as they grow up, as they start to interact with other children, can get all sorts of comments, because your parents are coming from two different races, two different continents. So I'm just wondering, how are you raising up your children to be able to deal with such kind of things if they do arise?
Actually, it takes a lot of hard work, because we are raising our children here in Kenya. This is where we live. And in school, it has become a hard thing. We've tried to put them in schools where they'll find different races, but our daughter keeps getting a lot of hit back because of her eyes or her flat nose. And so even recently, there's once I went to pick her up, and one child told, I didn't know, she was like, your mom is so black.
Wow.
And this is a black child telling her.
Wow.
And so it really affected her that she even requested me not to pick her again, only her father to pick her from school. And so we try as much to show them that you have the beauty of both. You're Black, but you're also Filipino. But the outside forces seem to be speaking louder. So it takes a lot and a lot of effort to speak to them to find their identity. Because I know outside there are mixed race children.
Yeah.
Go through this a lot. And I thought in Kenya it would be better because me, when I was growing up, pointies in our school were the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody loved them.
Yeah.
So I thought this would be a better environment for them here in Kenya, but it's proving to be difficult right now.
So what we do is we try to teach them. Definitely, it has its own set of challenges when you have mixed race kids on top of the normal of life challenges, because they're not quite fully Kenyan, and then they're not quite fully Filipino. So sometimes our daughter would say, "No, I'm just only Filipino." We have to tell them, "No, you're African, you're Kenyan." And then sometimes they're like, "No, I'm only Kenyan." So you have to tell them that you're Kenyan and you're Filipino.
Yes.
You are both. You're unique. There's an extra work you have to do in terms of raising your children, because when they go to the Philippines, they're not quite Filipino also. So that's the unique sense of belonging and acceptance, and where do I fit in, that you have to be very careful to build it up in their minds.
Okay. I'm just wondering, Charity, from your perspective as a counseling psychologist, what would you weigh into this scenario?
Thank you, Pastor Okumu. I think it's more and more awareness, more and more communicating with the children, and not necessarily in terms of like words. Much more is affirming the children.
Okay.
Affirm them that they are okay. Affirm them that it is true they are from mixed races and they are still very, very okay. Closeness to the children, ability to listen to them, to not trivialize what they believe already. If they say they are Kenyan, it's a heavy thing for the parents, but for the child, it's a natural thing. So that is the time to come in and give the assurance that it is true. Affirm them, it is true.
Yeah.
You are half Kenyan and half Filipino.
Yeah.
And this is perfect. Besides that, another thing is to help the children, also to expose them to other children like them. Liz has said we have many mixed racist children. I think it would be paramount to expose them to have little playtime together with these other children, so that they can share their experiences, and then they can build their own community within the larger community that they live in. Maybe also I would encourage that don't get tired. I said in the beginning, your journey is lifelong.
Yeah.
Other marriages are the same, but yours is now, because it's a unique type of a marriage.
Very true.
In terms of the looks, because it's nothing else besides the construction, the fact that you're not of the same maybe tribe or color. Besides the what we can see inside, you are the same.
Yeah.
So it's to know every day all your lifetime, so that you can be prepared. You can preempt, the word I'm looking for. You preempt, people come, the children come with this. The moment they come, I would encourage that you be aware that every day there will be a new thing. If it doesn't come, it will come tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's to be aware of that and to be prepared.
Okay.
Preparation also is very important. You see, you have to be prepared about the events, the eventualities of tomorrow that you are not aware of. And some of them are the child refusing the mother to pick her from school. Again, it also happens, I think, when you speak to other parents, even of similar color or race, you find you might drive a very poor car, and the other parent drives a big car, and your son will not work. You could be both Kenyans, same tribe, same everything, but if not driving a nice car, and the other parent is driving a bigger and a better car.
Very true.
I have had friends tell me their children stop them from visiting them with certain clothes and
Very
all
true.
manner of things. So these are things that happen to other people also. I think, I hope that can also encourage you.
Charity,
that it's not only unique to your home about
true.
Children. This happens also across even similar communities.
Yeah, Charity, as you say that, we were having a conversation because next week we will be talking about the age factor, especially where the woman is way older than the man. And I remember we were having a conversation, and somebody was sharing that they had a story of this gentleman who married a very young lady. And by the time they were getting children, he looked more like the grandfather of the child than the father. And so every time he would go to pick his son from school, his son would struggle. And he was wondering, why is it you prefer mom to pick you from school and not me? And the son told him, it's because every time you come, people ask me, are you my father or are you my grandfather? You look more like my grandfather, so I'd rather mom picks me from school and not you. Ocampos, as we finish, because we are almost out of time, this one is to you, Liz. You know, sometimes when back to the money factor, when you get married cross-culturally, like racially like this, you know, to many people, your husband, we don't see Filipino, we just see white. Yeah? And so our association is white and money. Do you have relatives who keep pestering you because we umeolewa na mzungu, lazima ukuwe na pesa? Do you experience that?
Actually, no. I'm not so close with my extended family. And my immediate family, no.
Okay.
The exact situation. So no.
That good for you on that one, because sometimes that can be a real thorn in the flesh for the marriage. Tell us a bit about, I believe both of you are pastors?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about where you pastor and what kind of work you're doing.
Oh, okay. We pastor at Gospel Tabernacle in South B. Like I mentioned before, that my father, now the late bishop, was a bishop. He started the ministry. And so now I joined ministry 14 years ago. And that was my call. And so when I met Solomon, he also had the same calling because he was already a missionary.
Yeah.
And so now we pastor together in Gospel Tabernacle South B. I'm the youth pastor and I'm the worship pastor. And Solomon?
Yeah, I'm the young couples pastor, among other things.
Yes, great.
And so we also run a YouTube channel where you find our whole family there. It's called We Are Ocampo. And so that's what we do on the side as we content create and just get our story out there.
Yes.
And because right now in the media, we find that it's very saturated with fakeness. And so we'd like just to get the godliness out there, godly families, young families that can inspire other people that marriage works and that you can't stand on the word of God.
Very true. Wow. Amen. Thank you so much, guys. South B is near where our church is. One of these days, I'll pay you guys a visit and have some ugali and matumbo. There's a comment here from Stella. Stella says, this is a lovely story. Maybe it's better to get married to a stranger than to be married to someone you thought you knew only for them to become a stranger after you're married. I think that's a very beautiful quote right there. And quite a number of people are so inspired by your story, and we thank the Lord. Well, I'm out of time. Thank you so much, Liz and Solomon Ocampo. Thank you so much, Charity, for agreeing to be part of this conversation. I believe somebody has found encouragement. Yes, marriages that are fixed and prearranged still happen today, and they work. 7 years down the line, these guys are still happy, getting babies all through. I'm telling you, it's just a blessing. How many babies are you planning to have, by the way?
Initially, we wanted 24. After the first child, we said, no, only one child.
Thank you so much, guys. Have yourselves a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of the clinic. We officially have closed the clinic for this week. We'll catch up again next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.